ChatGPT is one of the most trending topics right now. So, what exactly is ChatGPT? How does it work? How it can assist programmers? In ChatGPT Mastery, we will discuss what ChatGPT is, explore the OpenAI API, and how it powers ChatGPT. In this course, create your own AI chatbot in JavaScript and OpenAI API. In this course, you will learn the basics of natural language processing (NLP), including how it works and how it can be used to create chatbots, how to use OpenAI API to create a powerful chatbot that can understand and respond to natural language inputs, set up a vanilla JavaScript project using Vite, use NodeJS for the server side, using the Express framework to create a powerful and flexible web server for chatbot application, create responsive layouts with CSS, handle all events with a JavaScript, make API requests, catching bugs and fix the errors, write a clean code, deploying the application on GitHub and deploying the client on render. Finally, use Vercel to deploy the application to live. By the end of this course, you will have a solid understanding of chatbot development, web development tools and techniques, and the OpenAI API and more. I'm Wala Fikri. I'm super excited to be your instructor on this course. Thank you. Hello, my friends. I will start this course with this section because it's important to understand what ChatGPT is and why we will be using it. Also, it's important to know how to use ChatGPT to improve and speed up our work as a developers. And I would like to thank you for choosing to buy this course and support me, and also for making an important decision to support yourself in your own development. So, ChatGPT is a social media trend, so don't waste your time and learn how to use this technology to improve your professional performance. In this lecture, we will learn about the ChatGPT interface and how to use it to improve our development. You are currently viewing the OpenAI website. To find ChatGPT, go to the top of the page, then click on the Try button. Now we are on the ChatGPT platform, and this is the ChatGPT interface or chat window, which contains simple tools that are extremely easy to use. This is a conversation screen or chat interface where you can interact with the AI model and receive responses. As you can see here in the conversation screen, we have examples, capabilities, and limitations. Examples: ChatGPT provides us with 3 examples to test. Capabilities: remember what users said earlier in the conversation, allows user to provide follow-up corrections and more. And finally, limitations. You can read the limitations from here, conversation screen, or you can read all limitations from OpenAI blog. To start the conversation, we will use the message input box. Is located here. It allows you to enter text input and send messages or questions to the AI language model. You can use different languages such as Arabic. This is the only way for you to interact with the AI language model. When you type a message into the input box and hit enter or the send button, the message is sent to the AI language model, which is generate a response using natural language processing and machine learning capabilities. The response is returned to you and displayed in the chat interface. You can copy and paste text or codes from external resources. We will do it through this course. But what if ChatGPT provides a response that doesn't fully answer? In this case, you can use the message input box to provide additional context or to ask follow-up questions. Simply type continue, then hit enter. Near the response generated by the AI, like or dislike icons. You can send your feedback by clicking on it. Whenever you start a conversation with ChatGPT, it will save in conversation history in a column on the left side of the screen. also known as a chat history or chat log. You can click on the new chat button if you want to start a new conversation or if you want to clear out a previous conversation and start fresh. Each conversation is given a title by ChatGPT. When you select the title or this tab in chat history, you will see two icons, a pencil and trash. So you can use this pencil icon to edit or rename this title by clicking on it. You can use this delete conversation trash icon to delete this specific conversation. Be aware that deleting the conversation will permanently delete all associated messages and information. So, it's a good idea to record or screenshot the conversation before deleting it. When you are sure, click the check mark and it will be deleted and start new chat. In the chat history column, we can see clear conversation button. This button allows you to delete all of the conversations in the chat history column. Light or dark mode button. This button allows you to switch between light and dark mode. OpenAI Discord button. This button allows you to join the OpenAI Discord server where you can interact with other members and learn more about the OpenAI community. You may not be familiar with AI Discord, so let's try to ask ChatGPT what is Discord. So this is the response. I will read the 2 or 3 lines. Discord is a popular communication platform designed for online gaming communicates, but also used for various groups to communicate through voice, video, and text. I think you should be learn more about Discord. So try to ask ChatGPT more about this topic. Updates and FAQ button. This button provides access to the latest updates and frequently asked questions about ChatGPT. Logout button. This button allows you to log out of ChatGPT and ending your current session. This course contains a PDF file to assist you as well as a reference for you. This article for the lectures related on this section. In the next lecture, we will have a conversation with ChatGPT to get answers to our questions. Thank you. See you in the next lecture. Hello there and welcome back. In this lecture, I will start the conversation with ChatGPT. I'm so excited for this conversation. So let's start by typing what is ChatGPT? And this is the response. ChatGPT is an AI language model developed by OpenAI. So we will ask ChatGPT about OpenAI later on this lecture, but for now, let's keep going. It's a pre-trained transformer-based model that uses deep learning to generate human-like text based on the input it receives. That means a pre-trained transformer-based model refers to a specific type of deep learning model trained on a large crops of the text data like books, articles, and web pages. This model uses a technique called transformer. This to learn how to understand and generate human-like language. When you send a text prompt to this model, it will use pre-trained knowledge of language to generate a response, and that is meant to be similar to how a human might respond. ChatGPT is designed to perform a variety of natural language tasks, such as answering questions, generating text, and engineering conversations. Now, I believe we would like to learn more about OpenAI at this point. So, I will continue this conversation by asking ChatGPT what is OpenAI, and I will send this message. So, this is the response. OpenAI is a research organization founded in 2015, which is the goal of prompting and developing friendly AI in a responsible way. It's ending now the response, and I think this is the important thing. OpenAI develops and releases several AI mods and tools, including the highly ranged language model GPT-3, which has been used for a variety of natural language processing tasks. As you can see, this is a conversation between me and AI. It's not search about specific something. So let's check that with GPT. Is ChatGPT a search engine? And this is the surprised response. ChatGPT is not a search engine. It's an AI language model designed to generate human-like text based on the input it receives. While it can be used to answer questions and provide information, it's not a search engine in the traditional sense. Search engines like Google, Bing, and Yahoo are designed to search the internet and return relevant results based on a user's query. It's really amazing. It gives me an examples about search engine. So in this lecture, we had a conversation with ChatGPT, and in the next lecture, we will start a conversation with our chatbot. So go now to the lecture and find out what you will reach after completing this course. Thank you. See you in the next lecture. Hi there and welcome back. Because the index.html file is the starting point of our application, we will begin here. Instead of rendering the feed.svg, we will render the favicon.ico. Then, in title, we will change the name of our application, ChatGPT clone. And the most thing importantly, add a link tag that looks like this. Link rel style sheet with an href of style.css. That's going to link our internal style sheet. And now in the body, we will going to div with an ID of app, and we will going to add another self-clothing div right here. Div type ID equal to chat underscore container. This container is going to wrap our entire application. Now we will create a form, and inside this form we will add a text area element. That text area is going to have a name equal to prompt, which will allow us to type in there. We will make the number of calls or columns equal to 1 and the number of rows equal to 1, and we will add placeholder. It will be a string of as codex dot dot dot. Now we will make a submission by adding a button, and inside it we will add type equal to submit. Then we will add a self-closing image with src or source equal to assets send.svg. This is one of 3 SVG images included in the assets folder. And finally, we must connect it to our script module, which will not be main.js. We will rename it script.js instead of main and rename the main file to script. We should be able to run our application and see something in the browser. We already have a code in our script, so let's try to run it by going to View, then Terminal. We will type clear to clean it. Make sure that you are inside of the client folder. And when we type npm run dev, this will launch the application on localhost 5173. So hold Control while clicking this link. Click yes. Now you can see our great favicon and the name of our application at the top. But there is an error. Okay, in the next lecture, I will show you how to fix it and starting write our script file. Thank you. See you in the next lecture. Hi there and welcome back. In the previous lesson, we got an error because we delete counter.js file. So to fix this error, we will delete everything in the script file. Perfect. We can see now our application. So let's try writing something here. Let's say hi and hitting submit button. As you can see, nothing happens, but it looks great in any way. The idea now is to take this empty script and teach you how to connect it to the OpenAI API to receive prompts and offer intelligent answers based on what you type. So we are ready to begin writing our script and implementing our functionality. Let's begin by importing the icons from our assets. So type import bot from assets bot.svg. Import user from assets user.svg. Now we will target our HTML elements manually by using document.querySelector. So we will type const form is equal to document.querySelector. And then we will call it as a function and provide the ID name, in this case form. And we will do the same thing with our chat container by typing const chat container is equal to document.querySelector. Then we will pass the ID selector right here and say chat underscore container, which is exactly how we called it right here in the index.html file. And now we will make a variable called letLoadInterval. So this is going to be a variable that we are going to fill in later on. In the next lecture, we will starting to create the first function. Thank you and see you in the next lecture.
Hi there and welcome back. In the previous lesson, we fixed the error and learned how to connect OpenAI API to receive prompts and use let and const to declare variables. However, if you are unfamiliar with the difference between let and const in JavaScript, I will ask ChatGPT about what is the difference between let and const in JavaScript. As you can see, this is the response. In JavaScript, let and const are used to declare variables. Let is used to declare variables that can be reassigned later on, while const is used to declare variables that can be reassigned after initialization. With let, you can change the value of the variables later on in your code. With const, you can't reassign a new value to the variable once it has been set. When you declare a variable with const, you must assign a value to it at the time of declaration. With let, you can declare a variable without assigning a value to it, and then assign a value later on. Perfect. It gives me an amazing response, and it also gives me an example. Now we will learn how to create a function to load the messages step by step. This function called loader, and let's try to ask ChatGPT to define the function called loader, which takes an HTML element as an argument. So here is an example JavaScript code that defines a function called loader, which takes an HTML element as an argument. And this is a code function called loader, which takes an HTML element. So we will type element, and it will be clear the text content of the element. So type element dot text content is equal to an empty string, and be sure that it's empty. And now we will back to GPT and continue with the code. It say this function clears the text content of the element passed as an argument and sets an interval function that adds a dot to the text content every 300 milliseconds. It keeps adding dots until it reaches 3. Then resets the dot counter and starts again. The interval ID is returned, so it can be cleared later if needed. This loader will simply return 3 dots. Let me explain what I mean. This is our application's final version. So, for example, if you type hello, then press enter, it will render 3 dots, one by one by one, then 0. And this will be repeated until we get the answer. Let's back to our code. Then type load interval is equal to set interval. And the second parameter, it will be 300 of milliseconds. Now we will add element dot text content plus equal to string. But this time the string won't be empty. Instead, it will be have dot. What if the text content or loading indicator has reached 4 dots and want to reset it? Because we have an incredible technology called ChatGPT, it gives us the final JavaScript code for this lecture. And here it is. And now we will back to VS Code, then type if element dot text content is triple equal to 4 dots, meaning dot 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 dot. It resets to an empty string. Then type element dot text content is equal to an empty string. I hope this lecture has been helpful to be able to write correct code using ChatGPT. And in the next lecture, we will write similar function to implement typing functionality and use ChatGPT provide advice on coding best practice. Thank you. See you in the next lecture. Hello there and welcome back. In this lecture, we will implement typing functionality using a function similar to the one created in the previous lesson. This function called typeText, and this function accepts two parameters, element and text. Now, I will use ChatGPT to give me a JavaScript function called typeText that takes in two parameters, an element and a text string. And it uses that interval method to add one character at a time to the inner HTML of the element until the entire text has been added. Okay, we will type let index is equal to 0. Then we will create another interval. So let interval is equal to set interval. And we will make the same thing as the last function. The second parameter, this time it will be only 20 milliseconds for each letter and not 100 as the code. If index is lower than text.length, that means that we are still typing. So if we are still typing, we will set the element dot inner HTML plus equal to text dot char at index. And now we will increment that index plus plus. Then if we have reached the end of the text, simply we will type else clear interval and passing in interval. Perfect. Now we can type text and load AI's answers. In the next lecture, we will create a function to generate a unique ID for every single message. Thank you. See you in the next lecture. Hello there and welcome back. In this lecture, I will show you how to write a function that generates a unique ID for each message. In JavaScript and in many other programming languages, a unique ID is generated by using the current time and date. But first, we will ask ChatGPT to provide me with JavaScript code. I already asked ChatGPT to create a JavaScript function that generates a unique ID by combining the current timestamp and randomly generated hexadecimal string. And it gives me this code, which is exactly what we need. So you can copy this code or back to our VS Code to write this code line by line. Create a function called generate unique ID, then type const timestamp is equal to date dot now. To make it even more random, we will type const random number is equal to math.random. And we will add another random number by typing const hexadecimal string is equal to random number dot toString. We will get 16 characters. And finally, we will return the ID with the template string ID dash timestamp then dash hexadecimal string. We will now be sure that this will create a unique random ID. And we are working on the logic for our AI application. In the next lecture, we will create a function called chatStripe for chat messages. Thank you. See you in the next lecture. Hi there and welcome back. In this lecture, we will write a function called chatStripe to create a chat message. This function takes in 3 parameters. The first one is AI that determines whether the message is from an AI or from a user. The second is the value that containing the message content. And the last one is unique ID. This parameter is containing a unique identifier for the message. This function returns a string template, not a regular string, because a string template creates a chat bubble with a profile image, a message, and a unique ID. Now, I will move on ChatGPT and ask, can you tell me what is the difference between a string template and a string in JavaScript? And don't forget to give me an example, please. So, in JavaScript, a string template is a string literal that allows embedded expressions, while a regular string is a simple sequence of characters. String templates are enclosed in brackets and allow you to embed expressions inside a string by using the $sign curly braces syntax. And here is an example of string template in JavaScript. On the other hand, a regular string is created by enclosing a sequence of characters in quotes, either single quotes or a double quotes. And here is an example of a regular string in JavaScript. Let's go back to our script file and type div. The div has a class. This class is equal to wrapper $sign curly braces. And inside this curly braces is AI and AI. And now in this div, we will create another div. Also, this div has a class. This class is equal to chat. Create another div. This div is equal to class and this class is equal to profile. Finally, we will add a self-closing image tag to show the 2 icons we imported before. Inside image, we will type src attribute to specify the image source URL to displayed, and alt attribute to provide alternative text for the image, which is displayed when the image can't be loaded or is unavailable. The src will be equal to dynamic block of code, $sign, and curly braces, and inside curly braces is AI. Then put otherwise user. This code meaning the value of src is determined by a ternary operator, which checks if the isAI variable is true or false. So, if isAI is true, the bot variable is used as the source URL. Otherwise, the user variable is used. And alt equal to isAI, string bot and string user. This code means if is AI is true, the text bot is displayed as the alternative text. Otherwise, the text user is displayed. Below our div containing the profile, we will create another div with a class, and this class is equal to message and give it an ID equal to dynamic unique ID. Then inside of that div, we will render the value which will be that AI generated the message. In the next lecture, we will handle submit function, which will be the trigger to get the AI generated response. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.
Hi there and welcome back. In this lecture, we will learn how to create a submit function that is triggered when a form is submitted. So we will type const handle submit is equal to a sync function takes an event e as a parameter. Then first, the function prevents the default action of the event using e dot prevent default, which stops the page from reloading when the form is submitted. Next, we will create a new form data object using the form element that was submitted. So we will type const data is equal to new form data. This object contains key value representing the form data. And this form is just a form element from our HTML. So it adds some HTML to chat container using the chat stripe function, which has user chat stripe and bot chat stripe. So we will start with user chat stripe by writing here chat container dot inner HTML plus equal to chat stripe, which takes in a boolean value and it will be false. Then we will add a prompt message from the form data because it's not the AI but us. So we will type data.getPrompt. The inner HTML property is used to add this HTML to the chat container. And finally, the form is reset to clear the input field using form.reset. We are finished from the user chat stripe code, and now we are ready to start writing the bot chat stripe code. So first we will generate unique ID using the generate unique ID function. So we will type const unique ID is equal to generate unique ID. Chat container dot inner HTML plus equal to chat stripe, but this time the parameter will be true because the AI is typing. Then the second parameter will be an empty string with one space because it's going to fill it up when we loading the actual message here in loader function. And the last parameter, it will be unique ID. Finally, the chat container is scrolled to the bottom using chat container dot scroll top equal to chat container dot scroll height. This line of code to show the latest message. Now we will write in code to get the HTML element with the unique identifier. So we will type const message dev is equal to document dot get element by ID and passing in unique ID. And now we'll call loader function with message dev. This message dev HTML element as the argument. And this function display a loading animation to indicate that the bot is processing the user's input. We will write now code to listen for user's input on a form and call the function to handle that input when the form is submitted or user hit enter. This code sets up two event listeners on the form element. So let's type form.add event listener. This listener is triggered when the form is submitted. So type submit and it calls handle submit function. The second listener is triggered when a key is pressed. Key up while the form element has focus, and it checks if the key code is 13, which corresponds the inner key. If it is, it calls the handle submit function with the event object E as an argument. Now let's check what we have. If you reload your page and go to Ask Codex here, then type hi, then press enter, you will see that we have hi and our AI is actually thinking and adding dots. Perfect. We are ready now to build our backend application to use AI's ChatGPT API. We learned how to use Node.js server application that uses the Express framework to create a web server and more. So we will cover it in the following section. Thank you so much.